Hello, all you positive heads out there. It's so good to be back with all you beautiful reflections of the one source consciousness that creates and animates all things. If you're new to this podcast, of course, we are super happy to have you here, and we just ask that you bring an open mind and heart to your listening experience and to be prepared to explore vantage points that I'm convinced will help shift or solidify your current understanding of the ultimate nature of reality in a way that is extremely empowering. Speaking of exploring powerful perspectives, I'm super excited to announce the release of my very first book, The Golden Key: Modern Alchemy to Unlock Infinite Abundance. If you're ready to alchemize the circumstances in your life so that your abundance expands to an entirely new level in 2021, head over to goldenkey.gift to download the audio or ebook as my gift to you by using the code POSITIVEHEAD.
All right, all you positive heads, welcome. Welcome one and all. I am super grateful to be back. I'm super grateful to have you back. It seems like it's been a long time since we've been on the air. It was a very nice little break for me. And, my intention going into it was to get some work done. And I didn't. I got a little bit done, of course. But I really used the time to relax, and that was super enjoyable. I think we all need to take some relaxation time and slow down a whole lot more. Life expects a whole lot of us, and we don't have to always give, So many of us are giving, and we're just burning the candle at both ends, and we're tired and exhausted from carrying the weight of the world on our shoulders. So it's so nice to just slow down and take a break, because you know what? You guys were all right. You probably missed us, but you were all right. And maybe you found somebody else that was fun to listen to, that maybe now you have others and have different perspectives also. So maybe that provided a nice open avenue for you to explore new possibilities, because that's always good. We always need to be continuing to learn and seeking out other perspectives, other opportunities, other possibilities, keeping ourselves nice and open and flowing. This has been such a huge concept that's been coming up in my practice lately with so many of my clients. And I also notice it in my own world. So it's no coincidence that it's coming up with so many of my clients. And then I'm also seeing the same themes in the world. And so I think it's probably also occurring in your lives as well. And so what I wanted to talk about today is the concept of our own personal responsibility. And I know I talk about personal responsibility, but I'm going to talk about it a little bit differently today, because oftentimes we think it is our own personal responsibility to take care of everybody else, make sure everybody is happy and content, and that, we're not making anyone upset with what we want to do. There's so many layers to this idea of taking on the weight of the world. And one of the biggest layers to it is feeling like it is our responsibility to take care of everyone and make sure everybody around us is happy, and that there's nothing that we're saying that's going to offend anyone. And what we wind up doing is walking on eggshells. And that's never good. That's never good. At the end of the day, how someone else feels, how someone else goes through their life is not anybody else's personal responsibility. The only personal responsibility you have is to yourself. That's why it's called personal. I don't know why we're taking on others' things as our own personal responsibility, right? It doesn't make any sense. But this is what we do as humans. I see this over and over and over again. And I've seen this reiterated in my own life. And I'm getting better at it. I know I am. But because it's still there, it's still coming up. And another really big piece of this is that another person's choices, beliefs, perspective are not our responsibility. It has absolutely nothing to do with us what those choices of that individual person are. And it's actually a super encumbrance to get in their way of their choices, thinking that your choices are better than theirs, that they need to think the way that you think because your way is better. The thing about your way is better or my way is better is that nobody wins because there is no better way. It's your way, it's their way, it's my way. And that has to be okay with all of us. In this world, we have to be okay with everyone being an individual and doing it the way they want to do it. And of course, that always comes along with as long as there is no harm being caused to them or another. Then that means step off. Get out of their space. It is not for you, for us to decide what another chooses to believe, to think, to perceive, to act, to do, right? Like people are able to choose whatever kind of career they want to go down, to marry if they want to or don't want to have children in or outside of marriage, to be whatever religion they want to be, and so on and so forth. And while we may want another in our lives to come along our path and see it our way because, it's better, right? In quotes, it's not for them. And what we're really doing is just getting in the way and creating so much friction in a relationship that was really meant to just build love. We are here learning the lessons of love. And so all of these relationships that we have are here teaching us just that. But instead of loving one another and allowing each other to just be on our own path and our own journey, we all feel like we got something to say about it. And you know what? We all need to take a step back and realize that's not mine. That's not mine to take on. It's not about me. It's about them. And they get to decide. And that is such a beautiful thing. And then the other part about that is now it is always about you because that person is your mirror. That person is trying to teach you something. Whether we know this on a human conscious level or not, our souls agreed to teach ourselves something, to learn a lesson from, whatever that lesson may be. It ultimately will fall under that lessons of love category, but it has its own nuances to it. And so we are here teaching one another. And so it is always about you in that regard. So when you're triggered, you can look at that and say, all right, this is about me. This trigger is showing me that part of me that is not in balance, that is out of alignment with the love that I am, with the love that is my center. Anytime we are triggered, it is because there is an imbalance going off somewhere in our energy centers. And so it is striking an emotional chord within us. And so instead of putting that trigger out externally onto the other person and expecting them to fix that for you, realize it is our own trigger every time we don't like what somebody else says or does or any of the above. It is about us. And so when we can turn it on ourselves and look inside and see, where does that trigger me? What inside me is not okay with this? And why? And where can I work to balance that out? There are so many different reasons why we behave the way we do as humans. And so much of it comes from our childhood. There's not a single one of us that didn't experience trauma growing up. We all have varying degrees of it. And those varying degrees will turn into varying degrees of how you run your life in terms of your energetic centers. The more trauma you have, the more you are going to try to protect yourself, obviously, right? But what we don't often realize is what that then does is it turns into controlling every aspect of your external environment because that's how you feel safe. And we all do this in a variety of different ways, whether we do it in small ways or whether we do it in larger ways. We're all doing this a little bit because we're all here just trying to survive. It's our first instinct. We first react in terms of survival, in terms of keeping ourselves safe. And if we haven't felt safe, then we're going to try to control and we're going to try to, keep things in a way where we don't get hurt again. But what we actually do there is create so much resistance in our lives. We create that friction between ourselves and another, and we're running our engines on a fear program in that regard. When we run on that fear program, we expect everybody else to cater to that fear because, it makes you uncomfortable. We often call this the victim mode. Now, we all have this piece within us because there's not a single one of us here that isn't getting triggered. We're all here learning. There's nobody here that has perfectly learned it all and knows it all. We wouldn't be here if that was the case. So we all get triggered. And we get triggered because we make it about us. But we can make it about ourselves in a nice, healthy, and introspective way because that is really the point of all of these relationships and what we're doing here. And so if we want to make the most of it, then we can go inside and see where we can bring love into this situation, where we can change our perspective and maybe put ourselves in another person's shoes so we can change that perspective. And the more we practice at bringing in love to that moment, into that area of yourself that was traumatized, each and every time we do this, it builds upon itself and we heal and we balance. And what happens then is we don't get so triggered then. It's such a beautiful thing to be able to do this work ourselves. It is really all about us and not about us at the same time because we can't take things personally. What someone else does is not about us. And we can't be the ones trying to keep everybody else happy, trying to take care of everything. Maybe you're that person that's the caregiver, the rescuer, the helper. I love Carolyn Mace's analogy of this archetype of this helper, this rescuer. She talks about the lifeguard who rescues the person who's drowning from the pool. And he gets them out of the pool, makes sure that they're okay, and then he walks away. They're okay, his job is done, and now that's it. He doesn't have any more job to do. He doesn't pick them up, carry them home, make them a sandwich, call them every day, check on them, and make sure that they're fine. No, that's their responsibility. He doesn't go back and be like, can I teach you how to swim? Can we do this every day? No, that's their responsibility. And so, same idea here. Another person's happiness is their responsibility and their responsibility only. We can never make another person happy, no matter how hard we try, no matter how much we want to sometimes, no matter how much we love that person who is having a different perspective than we are, let's say. We can't do enough to change that perspective in order to make them happy. And we can't do enough dimming of our own light and our own, just staying in alignment with our own integrity and being really careful to not burden your own self, to really care for yourself in these moments and not put someone else's needs in front of your own like that. Because every time we do that, and we have such a tendency to do that, is to put the air mask on someone else before we put it on ourselves. And what we wind up doing is suffocating. And then that person who's the helper can't help anymore. And that's not what we're really trying to do. But we just have a hard time seeing it correctly. Seeing it clearly. We think that we are being this amazing caregiver and we're such a beautiful, caring, loving, compassionate person. And that is very, very true. But oftentimes we are not turning that love and compassion on ourselves. There's a little small part of that too that is also a bit controlling in the sense where you do these things for others so that you have this external love. So you have this external thing to say, well, I did this. And so now I need you to love me. Very human thing. So many of us do this. I did this so much when I was younger in relationships. I would go out of my way to be a helper and then turn around and be like, well, you should love me for that because I'm helping you. And he would tell me I was being manipulative, and I did not understand what that meant. Now I do. It is this subtle manipulation that we do because we are trying to just get love externally. And when we realize that we'll never get it, and we'll never get it, especially when we're expecting it or demanding it or making people behave in a certain way, that never works. It never works because it's our own personal responsibility. And then there's the other side of it where oftentimes we don't want to do something that might hurt another's feelings, but it's something that's really good for us to do. Say maybe you want to go and get a job somewhere in a different state, away from your family, but your family would really be upset about that. But you know that that's going to help you grow and that your light will really shine in this place because that's where you feel called to go. But your family is saying, oh, no, and they're making you feel really, really guilty about leaving them. And what if you were to decide, you know what, I'm going to keep my family happy and I'm not going to follow my dreams and I'm not going to worry about me brightening my light so that I can brighten the whole. You know, this is what is really happening when we make these decisions to appease everyone in their triggers. Because again, you can never appease another's trigger, just like no one can appease yours. And so if we are constantly doing things for others that are dimming our own light, what we're doing is a huge disservice to the whole. Again, it's the same air mask thing. We have to put our own air mask on first so that we can better help the whole. All of us here who are helpers and caregivers, we did come to help, but that did not mean at the expense of ourselves. It meant that we learned to build our own light so that we could shine brighter for the whole. And that is what each and every one of us is doing here. So remember, every single day, you are here building your light. If another person doesn't like that, that's okay. If it hurts their feelings, well, that's beautiful because you've just given them an opportunity to look at their own trigger, to understand themselves, and to really go within and find out why they feel this way. And why would they want you to dim your light for them? Do you really want friends in your life that are like that when you think about it? No, we want to be with others who fuel our flames, who want us to be free, not caged. How many of us want to be in that cage where our spirit cannot fly? Our spirit sure as shit doesn't want it. Our spirit wants to fly free like a bird and feels very, very unsettled when it is caged. And we do not want to cage our light or dim it in any way, shape, or form. And so this is a little reminder to everybody today that it is not your personal responsibility. Anybody else's life, not your responsibility. Your life is the only responsibility that you have. And remember, nothing that anybody ever does is about you. Don't take it personally. But if you do take it personally, use that as an opportunity to learn and grow from. We are all walking each other home in oneness and unity. I love you all so, so much. I'm going to leave you with the song for today. This is Rising Appalachia and the Human Experience. Nobody's fault. Until next time, love you all.
Also, before we cue up today's song, as a quick reminder, don't forget to download the Golden Key audio or ebook as my free gift to you at goldenkey.gift using the Golden Key code POSITIVEHEAD. And please, if you enjoy my gift, leave a positive review on Amazon so others can unlock their lives with the help of the Golden Key as well.